All right, everybody. Sitting on the ukulele here. I'm going to use this today to demonstrate something about hand pain with handlebars when riding a bike. So I've gotten a few people asking me like, "Hey Omar, what do I do about this hand pain? Because hand pain sucks, you know." I get caught up in saddle issues, but hand pain is not a thing that's a thing for me. I think that's partly because I really like having a light touch. I have actually really a strong grip and strong hands from just being a mechanic, and I don't know, as a massage therapist. I just have a strong grip, but I don't like overusing my hands. I don't like having to use force for a lot of things. I like brakes that are really light action. I like shifting that is really light action. I don't like my hands ever to be overburdened, and so I think I look for places on the bike, places in the fit where it has almost nothing to do with the hands. What I'm trying to do in the first place is not put pressure on my hands to begin with, and that way I don't need, um, you know, extra special handlebar tape or special grips or special anything. Just, I can adjust the pieces that are there to suit me. That's not to say there aren't, special shaped bars with flat tops. But what I want to talk about today isn't so much like, you know, hand comfort technologies, but just starting with, what comes to mind are the basics. If you're riding a drop bar, square up with your shoulders. If you're riding fast, you can go narrower. If you're riding more upright, maybe closer and wider. But generally, I like to start with measuring your shoulders. There's a lot of diagrams where you can measure your acromion process to acromion process, and go by that. So mine is 38 centimeters, and this is a bar that's a little bit narrower. So I like this bar when I'm going a little bit quicker, and the reason being is the harder you push, the more you're going to actually live it or live it levitate or elevate your body off of the bike. You're going to lift your hands, the pressure from the hoods. You're going to kind of decrease that pressure on the saddle just by virtue of pushing down on those pedals. But it's kind of opposite with this bar for me. I like to ride here when I'm going fast, and I like to ride in the drops when I'm chilling because it's a little bit wider. I'm putting a little bit more pressure on forward pressure into the bar. But so, getting that close, that's a good place to start. And then another one is like distance. If the bar is too far away, you'll end up leaning, the line of force will end up, I think, your shoulders will reach for it, and you'll push forward to kind of keep you scooted back. And if it's too close to you, sometimes that can cause tricep pain. You just won't want it to be there. You'll want the bar to be further away, and sometimes it can make the handling kind of sketchy. If you're descending it, you'll feel too far pitched over the front. So I like to think of it as follow the relaxed shoulders and the relaxed elbows. So whatever your position is, if your shoulders can feel loose and just not stressed, and your shoulders aren't hiked up and they're not reaching forward, let your handlebars be wherever that can be the thing. Like, you've got loose shoulders and you've got your relaxed shoulders and relaxed elbows. How you hold the hoods is another thing. Not all hoods are created equal. Like, I particularly like the shape of some of these old 11-speed levers. There's some hoods that are shaped more like that. And there's a lot of modern hoods like the new SRAM red. are probably the nicest lever ever made in terms of comfort. Not to mention the Tektro or the TRP Hilux lever. That was an amazing shape. Another one of my favorites. There's a lot of different shapes that will you can experiment with how you hold them. With this lever, I like to really just hold on to the whole thing, like have the web of my hand right there go right up to the front. Sometimes I hold it like that. And if you have a ramp on your bar, sometimes you might want to hold it back here. You might have to experiment with all the different places you can put your hand on the hood. With a brake lever like this, I like to hold a little bit further. That's actually shaped a lot like this thing. I like to hold a little bit, oftentimes further back. These hoods just feel great. I don't know if you've used these before, but you can experiment with different hoods, but a lot of times, saying you can experiment with different hoods means that like you're going to go out and buy a bunch of stuff and install your own cables and reroute stuff. So I'm not sure how mechanical you are, but I'll just assume for now that we're going to work with what you've got. So there's things you can do. You can rotate the hoods up, not that high, but the hood doesn't have to stay in the exact same place. You can move it up and down to get just the right interface with your hand. So what else? Yeah, don't feel like you can't move stuff around. Like, get your shoulders and elbows, find out where your shoulders and elbows feel relaxed, and then kind of use your imagination to see where does my hand want to be in that scenario. And you can reimagine your handlebar setup. And so the last thing I want to talk about is the effect your saddle has on your whole handlebar feel. One thing you could try is just to put a piece of tape on there, get your existing saddle height set so that you can move it back to where it was. But just as an experiment, try raising your seat like 5 millimeters at a time, and try and notice what that does to your handlebar reach. I find it has a tendency to decrease the pressure at the bars the more you raise your seat. And the lower you go, it's easier to reach forward. So it's as if you, without shortening your stem or getting a new stem, you can, instead of decreasing the reach to the bars by getting a shorter stem, sometimes lowering your saddle has the same effect. And sometimes raising your seat has the same effect of getting a longer stem or dropping a spacer out from under your stem. Just play with the effect that has, because just raising and lowering your seat doesn't always mean that, like say you raise it a centimeter, it doesn't mean that your body necessarily will sit a centimeter higher. You just may move to a different part of the saddle. Sometimes when you lower your saddle, it doesn't mean your whole body has moved down. It means you simply moved back onto the wider part of the saddle. And the wider part of the saddle tends to elevate you. So sometimes your body stays in the exact same place. You're just supporting it. With the saddle slightly differently. So you can do the same, not just with the height, but you can experiment with like a micro adjustment to the tilt. The more you tilt the nose slightly up, the same idea. Let's pretend this ukulele, the bottom part is your pelvis, the neck here is your spine, and the knobs are where your shoulders are. The more you tilt the nose up, the more your pelvis will rotate back. The more you tilt the nose down, the more your pelvis will roll forward. So you can notice where the tuning knobs are at the top here. That decreases or increases the distance to the bars just by the pitch of the saddle. And same thing, when you raise your saddle, there's a tendency to make your pelvis roll back, and as you lower your saddle, there's a tendency for your pelvis to roll forward. So not only are you increasing the distance to the bar or decreasing the distance by lowering, the effect it has on your pelvic angle has another effect that amplifies that sense, that feeling of distance to the bars. So increased distance tends to mean less pressure on the hands. Sometimes the bar is too close, and you can end up pushing away from it. So I'm really just talking about the first things that come to mind when experimenting with simply decreasing the amount of pressure going into the bars in the first place. I hope that helps you find a place to start.